Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the third episode of A Book a Week. Today we're going to talk about the book Thou Shalt Prosper from Rabbi Daniel Lapin, which is a book talking about the Ten Commandments to become rich, talking about the distinction between how Jews tend to create and maintain wealth in contrast to other ethnicities. So I think it's a very interesting book. So I would say we have to keep this within 10 minutes. So let's get into it. So in the first chapter, Daniel Lapin talks about the morality and ethics of doing business. And what he explains here is that Jews believe that it's very ethical to do business and actually make money, even that they call it imperative to make money. They say that mankind was created with shortages and desires, that Jews have the job to fulfill those desires and shortages. Now, he says that when you create wealth, when you're doing business, you're actually doing that by creating value for someone. And that is why it's very important to understand, he says, which Jews do, how ethical and moral business actually is. So I think that is a very interesting way to look at it. And this is also my personal favorite chapter. Extend your network of connectedness to many people is what the second chapter is called. Daniel Lapin here talks about the essence of creating a connection, creating relationships, building up a network with people. He says that Jews believe that friendship, even the word derives from it, the word chaver. I don't think that I pronounced it well, but that is friend in Hebrew, which also means obligation. So he says that being a friend means that you do something for your friend and your friend does something for you to help each other out. So he says that you have to make sure that you grow real relationships, genuine relationships, do something to help your friend to get to the next level. It doesn't have to be financial per se, but this will also make your friends, your connections more likely to also help you to get to the next level, because he says that wealth is created together and not on your own. Now, also very important part in the second chapter of what Daniel Lapin talks about is he talks about that you have to perceive yourself as a business owner instead of a wage slave. Because if you would see yourself as a wage slave, you would just think like, what do I have to do just to get paid? But if you see yourself as a business owner, then you're more representable, and you would rather say to someone like, oh, if someone asks you like, what do you do? Oh, I help this company to build X, instead of saying like, oh, I work for this company. So also then you will look like, what can I do to just create more value, and this will just open up a lot of new opportunities for yourself. Second thing that he talks about that is very important, that it's important to understand that it's good to get served like in a restaurant, or by getting a massage or something, that this is just something that you have to learn to enjoy, and then you will also learn to enjoy to serve people, which is what people pay for. There's a lot of service in companies. Service is always a big part of companies, even when you're just selling a product. So the third chapter is called Get to Know Yourself, and here Daniel Lapin talks about the essence of knowing your assets. So first of all, he says that it's very important to seek out private small battles that you can win, maybe like a tough exercise or something that you can do, which will enhance your confidence that you can really do something. Then the second part, what he talks about is that it's very important to jot down what your skills and talents are, so that you are aware of this, and you can use this to add more value on a daily basis to people, obviously. Third part that he talks about here is that you have to analyze what you do on a daily basis to really look like, how much time did I put into economic activity, because he says you might be shocked how little you actually time you put in there. So the fourth chapter is called Do Not Pursue Perfection. And what he's talking about here is that in the world, nothing is perfect. People cannot always be wealthy, have something to eat, and that is something that is very difficult in the world. So the only thing that you can do is make as much money as possible, so you create as much possible jobs and create as much value to people, and that is the way that you can really help people. Second thing that he talks about is that You should not be a perfectionist in the sense of that sometimes it's better to take the second best solution if the best one isn't attainable. So the fifth chapter is called Lead Consistently and Constantly. And here, really, Daniel Lapin emphasizes that it's very important to really be a leader. Um, um, he says that a real leader is not afraid to manifest his or her vision, even though that other people might not see it. And it's also very important to really carry yourself as a leader, and this will really help you to get rich. So in chapter 6, Daniel Lapin talks about the essence of changes. He says, actually, the chapter is called Always Change the Changeable. He says that business is very dynamic and that it's always important to change when you see a good opportunity to improve yourself or improve your business. And you should be able to understand that things do change and that you have to be able to adapt to them and be flexible in a sense to them. Now, second part that he talks about is that it's important to take 20 minutes a day to rest, to relieve the stress out. And then the last thing that he talks about is always try to keep stress inducing activities separate. So don't try to, as he says, plan a wedding at the same time that you're moving to another city. Try to keep that separate if you can. So in chapter number 7, Daniel Lapin talks about learn to foretell the future. And what he says here is that it's very vital to understand that certain events could really affect your business. And you have to always be very aware of this and be up to date of this. He says that that is very important. And then the last part of it is what he says that you should also always try to interpret these events without any emotion. Now, in chapter 8, Daniel Lapin talks about know your money. And what he says here is that it's very important to understand accounting and to understand or at least interpret financial statements. Not just to really like become an accountant, obviously, because I wouldn't want to do that, but to understand financial statements because, well, actually, for three reasons, he says. First, because then you will learn to understand money. Second of all, you will learn to understand cash flow. And third of all, you will understand to be able to at least conduct your own personal finances, which will also give you the opportunity to track, or the possibility, I should say, to track your own financial improvement. So he says that this is also a very important part. Now, the last thing that he means with know your money is that you have to understand your own assets. That we also talked about in chapter 3. You have to understand what your own skills are, what your own talents are, and that is your money. That is your way to make money, and that is what you should use to make money. So that is also what he means with the chapter Know Your Money. So now we came to the last chapter, you guys, and that is called Never Retire. And here Daniel Lapin talks about that, guess what? You should never retire. I don't think that you guys would have guessed it, no, but in all seriousness, though, he says that it's very important to not put a specific date on a retirement. And he says that the reason for this is because retirement erodes perseverance, and that is a bad thing to do because perseverance, in his opinion, is one of the most important parts in life. Now, the last part that he talks about is that it's also that in the retirement years, people tend to be the most productive, also because you gain the most experience in that period, or actually, I should say, then you already have gained a lot of experience, which will make you just a lot more productive. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. This was the third episode of A Book a Week. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I sure did. I had a lot of fun making it, and I did learn a lot. I hope that you guys also learned a lot. Let me know in the comments below what you learned from it and how you will implement this into your life. Now, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Put on the notification bell so you will see my next episode, which is very important because this is a book a weekend. Within 10 minutes, I'm teaching you the essence of books that really enhance your life, right? So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next Sunday.